the only day you came. From on a scale from 1 to 10, how happy are you with the game for your visit?
Well, I'd go for something above 5, but let's say 6 or 7.
Oh,
The result wasn't the right one, in my opinion. So, as I'm not an official commentator, I can be very a fanboy, let's say. But yeah, I mean, it's a great match. They are both great players, and I just hope that we see some more great games. It will be interesting what Magnus does with two whites, because he wasn't inspiring, in my opinion, with white. So that will be very interesting to see if he can maybe move his e-pawn once in a while, and
well, he
then
has
we'll
two
see
chance coming up.
Yeah, what maybe some prominent guy will do the wrong move e4, and then he opts for it. I don't know how we can make him play e4, but no, I mean, it will be interesting, obviously.
mentioning his two white games, I'm sure you follow social media and the news about what happened during Game 4 or before Game 4 with this footage of Fabiano's training camp and the screen of Fabiano's computer showing some of the lines that they were analyzing. How much do you think this will have an effect on the match? It was with the black pieces, so in those two games with white, will Magnus be able to exploit this information?
Actually, I think I didn't follow if it was really not intended or whatever, but probably it wasn't. And then it's more uncomfortable for Fabiano just to have something like that than real chess-wise. I don't think it will be a huge problem. I mean, these are files that they weren't opened, luckily for him. And I mean, he was expected to play along these lines. So it's not that Magnus now has like huge informations or whatever. So, but if you feel that, you're somebody that supports you, puts a video online that can hurt you, it's like, okay, obviously they didn't meant to do it, but this might be just some concentration going off that. But I don't think this will be a key point in the match. I think, just the strong one will win, and Magnus got to show something with white in order to get some squeeze out of the opening, because the first two games weren't convincing, in my opinion. So, maybe he would need a double black. I don't know, after this game again. It looked like with black he feels very comfortable. We'll see what happens.
Judith, what's your take on that and today's game?
Well, today's game, I think it was very interesting. Fabiano was very much straightforward. He knew until a point what he was doing. I'm very curious what he's going to say in the press conference, what was the turning point from his point of view, because it was quite confusing for me to see that until C3, he was kind of very comfortable and kind of knowing what he's doing. So I have kind of the feeling that there was a misjudgment in the preparation. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
And also the question about till when Magnus was prepared, I am also not sure what I should think. I think there is a possibility that he knew that it is somewhere along these lines, because, for example, this move d6, he played very fast, and at least to me, it isn't so obvious that this must be the move.
But he's the world champion.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. He might just have the intuition for the positions.
I think he can do those things. Because it's kind of the position it's his kind of game, and he understood that he shouldn't be afraid, even if he's caught in some unpleasant or unexpected openings. And you have to understand that b4 shouldn't kill you, right?
Yeah.
Immediately. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I would be very curious, and probably we're not going to get an answer on that.
Problem,
that's the problem.
There needs to be another video footage on the Magnus side, maybe something like that.
I'm curious if we will have those questions first asked by the journalists. Let's hope that they will ask those key moments from the game and what the players will answer. It's not, of course, preparation is always such a sensitive area. They usually can't really reveal until which point they had it prepared, and that could give some information on the upcoming games. It's not like a round robin where they have one game against that player and then it's okay to talk about the preparation. Here, it's always the same face in front of you, the same team against you. And they should be very careful with what they say.
Well, I have the feeling that this 6 or 7 before, it was for one game. What do you think?
One game preparation.
Yeah,
I think it was a one-game show.
Because the team of Magnus didn't expect it, they will now. He has some guys working. They will for sure take some time to analyze it well, and he will be completely prepared for it next game if there will be something along these lines. So it's also interesting to see what Fabiano will do after he gets again a white, because he was now always changing something along the Rossolimo lines, but mostly like one game preparations, which you don't really know, was it only now at the match because maybe he didn't expect that c5 knight c6, or was it before, or is it a mix of, well, I had this one idea, it didn't work, and now what are we going to do? So very interesting. And also if Magnus sticks to his c5 knight c6 all the time Sicilian, definitely.
But what else should he play? Should he go e5 and Berlin, where he got caught quite a few times against Fabiano?
That is true,
So you have alternatives, but c5 seems to be a good one.
Yeah, I mean, he gets his two bishops. Again, today after a bit of a struggle, he got his two bishops and an ending, so he got his position.
The Rossolimo is not such a big achievement, let's face it.
Well, but how they changed, it was a bit strange, A3, A6,
that was a very funny exchange of pieces.
Still,
he... Today for the first time,
so, it will be interesting what they do, because it reveals a lot about openings, obviously.
We shall head to the press conference as the players already arrived.
The World Championship match has been drawn in 34 moves. A game that started very excitingly, but then somehow calmed down again. I'd like to ask Fabiano first. Well, what happened? You started playing very quickly, and then at a certain point, you obviously consumed lots of time. What happened there?
Yeah, well, this line is really interesting, and if Black is cooperative, it can get also very, very exciting. But Magnus knew the line quite well, and I think played it in a very, very logical way. And the endgame we got, of course, it wasn't forced. I mean, there are a lot of options. Probably the position after Queen c4 is more or less new, and Black does have options here like Queen c7 or Knight c6. But Queen a5 is a very direct way to play it. And I guess the endgame we got is more or less balanced. I was briefly thinking about Queen a5 d4, but...
Sorry, Queen a5?
d4, but, I mean, it's ridiculous and probably losing for white.
Which is probably a good reason not to go for it. Okay.
But I still spent some time thinking about this because it was fun, like Queen a1.
You mean it's not always fun, what you play?
Well, the endgame is not so much fun.
Yeah. I mean, actually, did you think you were seriously worse at some point in the endgame?
No, I never thought I was worse. No.
Never thought you were worse?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I was trying to find some way to play it, and I mean, after Rook a8, I just figured this is a moment when I have to figure out how to play this position. So I came up with this idea of putting the bishop on d2 and activating my knight. I mean, I also thought about knight c3, but I couldn't make it work instead of bishop. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why it would work, but after knight b4, I mean, I have moves like rook b1 or rook c1, but the knight comes to d3 and nothing ever seems to work out. So, and yeah, I mean, king b6. Of course, Black also has multiple ways to play his position, but the way we played, I guess, was pretty logical.
Yeah. Magnus, what was your feeling about the game, just in general?
Well, to be honest, I was pretty happy about the opening. I felt as though after it calmed down, only Black can never really be better. But I couldn't find a way to push, and as Fabiano mentioned, this plan with bishop d2 as he came up with, I mean I realized after bishop c3, I thought for a while and I realized that was his plan, but I couldn't see a way to avoid it.
So basically, a fair result. You kind of neutralized each other, basically.
Yeah, I think like. I didn't have to go king b6. I could go b5 just to block instead.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and I thought bishop d2, and I wasn't so sure, because I mean if white goes knight d2 at any point, Black is very comfortable and pushing, but Yeah, Bishop D2. I don't know. If there is a way at all to play for an advantage, the path is very, very narrow. And yeah, again, in the game, it's just all forced and attractive.
Okay, good. Well, let me throw it open for questions from journalists. And if you'd like to say who you are and who you're working for. So yes, please.
From Jørund, NRK in Norway, to Magnus. Norwegian experts are saying this is the best opening you've done in your whole World Championship career. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I'm trying to think whether I ever won any games in the opening and or had a serious advantage in any game. Probably not. No, I mean, once against Vishy, I was clearly better after the opening, so twice. So I'm not so sure. But no, I mean, I think that's greatly exaggerated. But obviously, I was happy to get this position after the opening, since it's safe for black, and at least superficially, it looks like there might even be options to play for more. So clearly, it was a great success.
Okay, next question, please, Mike.
Mike Klein with chess.com. Questions for Magnus Carlsen. This is the third straight Sicilian, and of course, we keep seeing a Rossolimo. Of course, this one was much different, but is there ever any concern continuing playing the same opening that more surprises will be in store for you?
I mean, I think that's it's pretty obvious that if we both insist on the same opening, then there are going to be alterations and surprises. But we'll see what happens in the future. So far, I feel like I've done reasonably well in the opening duels. Obviously, the last black game wasn't so great after the opening, but at least the game was okay. So we'll see what happens.
We should probably ask Fabiano if there are going to be any more surprises here, but okay, I'm not going to insist. Okay, next question, please. Yeah, John.
Hi, John Lee Shaw from hotoffthechess.com. I'd like to ask the same question to both players. Magnus now has 2 whites in the next 2 games. Did you feel it very important to strike today before those 2 games? And I think it's fair to say that Magnus didn't have any problems today in this game. Do you feel disappointed and that you've missed a chance to strike in this game? And also to Magnus, do you feel that a little bit of control now has been handed to you for the next 2 games in the match?
Okay, well, let's start with Fabiano. Was your intention to... Well, b4 is obviously a very aggressive move and initiates some complications. So was that part of your match strategy, considering that you're going to have 2 blacks in a row now?
Well, I mean, I can only play for a win if I get something, and I can only really be disappointed that I missed a chance if I get some sort of chance in the game. And if a game is like this, where we both play more or less correctly, and neither of us makes a serious mistake, I don't think that I can really be disappointed. And yeah, of course, the double black is coming up, and this is quite a serious challenge, but this was always going to happen. And whether I win or draw it, I mean, this is still going to happen. So I wasn't approaching this game any differently than any other game. No.
Right. So I suppose the question is, are you looking forward to your 2 whites?
Yeah, I guess it's like any round-robin tournament. If you have a double black or a double white, you kind of single that out as when the tournament starts, as that is either your opportunity to strike or when you're at your most vulnerable. So I'm looking forward to it, obviously, and we'll see what happens. But it's I mean, most of all, I'm just more or less happy with the way things are going with black, and as is clear to the naked eye, there is serious room for improvement as white. So.
Okay, next question, please. Yes.
Thanks. John Brazina with the Colorado State Chess Association and the Denver Chess Club. First, thanks to both of the players for your time. Back in the States, we've seen an increase in the number of young players at our clubs. When I ask of their favorite player, both of your names come up often. I won't say which one more. Can either of you offer advice to the young players to stay and advance with the game? And also, who are your favorite players now at your level versus earlier in your careers?
Okay.
Thank you.
Fabiano, do your best with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great that in the U.S. chess is increasing popularity, especially with kids and in schools, and you know, it's showing. Now we have younger and younger grandmasters coming up, and one day I'm sure some of them will be top players, and maybe potentially there are some future world champions out there. So I mean, if they enjoy the game and if they love working on it, then I encourage them to keep doing that. I'm not sure I remember the second question.
Oh, favorite players, yeah. Any favorite players?
Of the past, or?
Well, at your level now versus earlier, maybe when you started your career, has it changed your perspective and your favorite players?
I mean, I've gone through phases when I study like a players' games, and I gain an appreciation for how they played. So yeah, I mean, in terms of play, Fischer is still definitely up there. I mean, maybe not my absolute favorite player, but in terms of the results he achieved and the way he played at his peak, I think very few players compare.
Okay, very quickly, couple of tips, a player from history that you followed in the past.
Well, I have nothing too much to add to what Fabiano said in terms of what this means for American chess and all of that. I'm not really the person to have idols. I admire what people can do, not necessarily the people themselves. And I would say, keeping that in mind, I would say my favorite player from the past is probably myself, like 3-4 years ago. And then...
So what, kind of Magnus aged 23, is that on the app?
Yeah, 23.
Yeah. That's the prime.
Yeah.
Okay, check it on the app. Okay, very quickly, Ian.
Ian Rogers, not sure who I'm working for at the moment. So, a question to Magnus, do you think you'll ever be able to emulate your idol?
Very good.
No, he won his first game in Game 5 of the World Championship, so that ship has sailed.
Okay, very good. Let me see. Anatol.
One more question about the game today. Fabiano said that Queen C4 maybe was already a new move, but after that I had the feeling, Magnus, that you were playing pretty quickly, and I wondered whether you were still remembering some analysis or whether you found moves like Queen A5 so quickly on the board.
Reveal all, I think, is the question.
I mean, I cannot comment too much on that. So obviously the move B4 wasn't new to me. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. Yes, please. If we get a mic over here, please.
Question to Magnus from VG Norway. Have you seen the video now?
Okay, so I should explain that there was a video posted by the St. Louis Chess Club which was taken down rather swiftly that may or may not reveal something. But anyway, Magnus, have you seen the video?
No, actually I haven't. I would say my answer stays the same, that I haven't seen it, but I'm aware of its contents. I've been made aware of its contents by people who I, for some reason, trust.
Okay, the players, of course, are playing again tomorrow, and I'm sure they want to get some dinner. So actually, I'm going to wrap things up there. So thank you very much for attending, and thank you most of all to the players.
Well, as the match is heating up, the press conferences are becoming more and more entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic words by Magnus.
His favorite player himself 4 years ago.
Yeah.
23-year-old Magnus Carlsen, and he cannot really imitate the 23-year-old Magnus as he won his game 5, but Magnus couldn't do that today. Wow.
Yeah, kind of a quite unexpected answer, I must say.
But you saw him in the end of the conference smiling. I think it was still of that, like, oh, I really said that.
Certainly, there's great mood at the press conferences, which we love, that the players are in cheerful mood and they are willing to let things out, be on a more entertaining side than just keeping every information to themselves. So, of course, they cannot really share confidential information, such as the preparation, with us, but at least they are there to make some jokes, give advice, and reveal their role models. This has been Game 5, and we are going to be back tomorrow for Game 6. Just a reminder, Game 6 and Game 7 are both a white color for Magnus Carlsen, and we shall see if he can take advantage of that fact, plus the supposedly confidential information from the video that was released from Fabiano's training camp. Thank you so much for joining us, Noel. And Judith, once again, great analysis. You guessed all the moves, including G4. Thanks to our lovely live audience as well and our online audience. For those of you who are here, just a reminder, Ms. Judith Polgar is not afraid of selfies. See you, everyone, tomorrow.
Bye.